think how Cassie was depicted in the first episode of Euphoria was very realistic to the average housewife. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with, being a stay-at-home mom or being a housewife, but I think it's very romanticized when in reality it's not all that like that it's cracked up to be, especially because you don't really own anything, You don't make your own money. And so you have to beg for things. You have to constantly ask for things. You might even feel guilty for asking for certain things versus when you make your own money, you can just buy things. You can be proud of yourself for being able to afford things. And for example, like the 50K floral arrangement that Cassie wanted, she could have just bought that with her own money if she made her own money. And I think it's always better, especially as a woman, to just own your own things and make your own money. If your man is paying for everything, even if you're a stay-at-home housewife or a stay-at-home mom, a lot of times you pay for things in other ways. I think it was super realistic, like Cassie basically starting an OnlyFans to make extra cash. I think that happens with a lot of housewives is they get bored with all the time they have. And, like I said, it gets tiring constantly having to beg for things, to buy things or to ask or to double check. And so you're like, let me just make my own money. And you get into like weird side hustles. I just felt like the whole thing was like honestly pretty realistic because it's not as romantic as y'all think it is to be have a man paying for everything, you know what I mean? And then you don't own anything, your name isn't on anything, you don't have any stream of income, you don't have anything on your resume, you don't have your own money, there's nothing in your bank account because technically it's not your money. I mean, that's just, it feels like you're trapped, like you don't really have freedom when you're living like that. And I honestly think that's like a kind of like a sad way to live. That's just like my 2 cents. I know not everyone's gonna agree with me, and I know that there are some really generous like men out there, but I think it's always nicer and it always feels better to make your own money, have your own career, have your own life. And because that no one owns you. Do you get what I'm saying? Like everything belongs to you. And like I said, like Cassie even stalking Maddie and still being unsatisfied with her life, I thought like that whole episode, it was just super realistic.